Go.
Welcome to chapter 19. Selina is reading today. Go ahead, Selina.
Okay. Well, this first question, basically, I think the feeling was for me, just cross the bridge. It's a bridge. That's what you do with bridges. Cross it.
Yeah.
That he's having like a big thing. Like he wants to write a whole book about the bridge. Like, is it a bridge?
Yeah.
What is it? Is it like a level? Is it a sphere? I don't know. I thought it was just a bridge. What do you, anybody else? What do you think? Is it a bridge or what is it?
Who wants to start? No?
Okay, Alicia. Okay, unmute. There we go.
I didn't remember that as a question, but just
No,
feeling
it's not.
no, just reading about it, it's like, well, one thing that it's very different from most bridges is it's like a huge chasm that they're crossing. It's not like just an odd little bridge. It may be quite small, relatively small, but it's over this huge chasm. So I feel like that's part of the significance of it, that it's only just there, but it's a huge fear I have to get to, even just to cross that chasm.
Good point.
So it just feels very significant just because of that to me.
Yeah, to have to overcome fear just to, like, I know when I go over something that's a deep chasm, like my legs actually hurt.
Yeah.
Just looking down there, even though I know I'm safe, my legs hurt so bad I can hardly stand it sometimes. Yeah. Okay, Michaela?
Well, I wonder if it's a chasm or a bridge or that sort of thing now that he's on it, you know, like now that he's not having to learn the lesson of he has to cross it, that it's a whole different experience now that he's on it. And part of getting to that point to be ready to cross it is he's present to every experience and every moment. So for him, he's just in the moment.
Yeah,
maybe.
Yeah, because I thought, why wouldn't you be like, you're there and you're talking to people and reminiscing and talking to complete strangers and you're so absorbed in their story, not even thinking about, like, you're at the garden of God. Come on.
Yeah, exactly.
Just hanging around. Okay. Anybody else?
But I like because if you remember in the previous chapters, he was beginning to have his soul changing around the concept of time. Everything is here now, and every moment is exhilarating. So that's a good point. That he's now living from that place where he's experiencing everything. So that's a good point. But I also like what Alicia brought up, that chasm had a lot of significance because he couldn't even see the bridge at first, and now it's solid enough to cross on. So something huge has shifted in him. So the soul change in him must feel pretty significant as an experience.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And as I'm thinking about that too, because before he was like, how do I cross it? How do I, wanting advice, and now he doesn't even care. He's just not he's on it. And it's like, I'm going to just visit now and have some fun.
Yeah. Good point.
Yeah. Oh, Virginia. I don't know. Yeah, Virginia.
I feel that his soul expansion is really what is a significant part. That's what creates so much change for him. And so that he always seems to be really noticing that, like how his awareness changes, things that he didn't notice before when he's been at the same place, and how they all look so different because he has changed. You realize that the space that he's in he's back to the same place. He's been here before. So I think that's where the hurry doesn't come in, because I understand what you're saying. You think that, hey, you're finally here, that you would just be running across that.
Before God changes her mind and sends me back.
Kingdom, and so you just be running for it. But I think there's so much joy in every moment as your soul expands, that there's so much beauty and love in that he wants to completely enjoy that.
And Virginia, you actually brought a really good point that Aphraar does constantly speak about what's changing in his awareness and perceptions. So actually, it's like, come to think of it, we can actually go back and read the books through again, just observing how his perception changes and what that must mean. Like that in itself is one way of reading the books, because he does share what he's experiencing and how it's changing over time. So it's a really good awareness there. Yeah.
Yeah. It's almost like the bridge has stopped being a bridge. It stopped being a means to an end. It's just a place. It's a place.
Yeah, in itself.
Yeah. Yeah, in itself. Yeah. Not just a way to get to there. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, I see what
kind of neat. Yeah. Okay. Do we want to do this question? The
Michael?
food? Oh, Michael. Oh, Michael. Oh, sorry. Yeah, his hand kind of disappears in the yellow background. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
What it suggests to me is, how he's going through his processing, his talking, and he finds himself there. He's suddenly aware of it. It reminds me of what the point Jesus made at one point, that we don't affect our transformation. We don't transform ourselves. It's something that God does to us. And I'm not able to see a real clear answer between what he's actually done to get him over onto the bridge and about to cross the chasm where he has no fear. I don't see something direct, but I know something has happened. And God did it, not Aphraar.
And what changed in this past few chapters was his faith. Right? Was that faith?
Yeah, his faith. Yeah.
Yeah. And therefore, I wonder if you're having faith in God means that then God can change you, can change that part of you. Because that's a way in which you are open to God. So it's a two-way.
But they could see what he needed, and they led him to the situations. His soul created the situations where he would get what he didn't already have, and made it possible.
Oh God, yeah, that's a master plan right there. Every now and then I speak to the keeper of my master plan. It's like somebody has a master plan for me. There is a plan here. The insanity of our being like a pinball. Yeah, good point. Thank you, Michael. Okay. Okay, Selina, we can move on.
Okay, the next, this is about food. And here, attuned to perfect harmony of minutest detail in form, color, perfume, and sound, were dainty stands of angel food, or fountains of sweet refreshment played, that while we moved about in the shadowless communion, we might take, eat, drink, and thus live in the actual paradise of God. So I found this just interesting because other channelings talk a lot about the celebration of food, which is very much a human response to progress or any celebration of life. And I was just wondering, do you think he's talking about spiritual food or actual food? Judith?
Oh, I totally thought it was a metaphor and then I thought about what does food do for us? So I wrote down what I felt food does, and it imbibes, it nourishes, it inspires, it gives us life, it sustains us, it gives us joy, it sates us, it surprises us. So I felt that was kind of like a metaphor for all the things that we experience in the spirit world at that condition. I guess it would be everything is just nourishment to you.
So you could just take all that in, that atmosphere, and it's just like having food, like you.
It makes you grow even more and does all these things.
Yeah.
That's how I thought of it.
Yeah, it's nice. Yeah.
Because you wonder if they even eat in the spirit world at that condition.
Well, Jesus has said that you do, but I don't know if as you get more advanced, if it's really something you need anymore, to make you feel a certain way. Alicia? Thanks, Judith.
I don't know, but I have another question before this one, but just to mention it, I thought there was another question. But I noticed that he didn't use the sense taste when he's describing it for food. So I definitely felt that it was a metaphor or an allegory for conceptualizing and giving context to, because we, those of us who are reading the books, it's as Judith explained, it's giving us a feeling of imbibing something, of having delights, exquisite delights. And so I feel like it was just giving that concept of the delights of this new place that he's
like it's like a substance of that brings you joy, a substance. Like it's actually it's real. It's it's tangible. Substance. Just Michael.
In my little heart, I have a little hope that anything that has given me pleasure, real pleasure on earth, like eating something delicious, and that will not be denied to me in heaven. I'm hoping that there will be eclairs and different things I haven't just gumdrops that I've never imagined. I think God is like that.
Mila?
I think it's real food.
I do. Well, I know in Wander in the Spirit Lands, they describe it like food. It's food. Like they have banquets when someone has progressed to a certain point. They have a big celebration. They have like sort of movies sort of reflecting on what you've done to show other people your progress and how you got there. So they really make a big deal about food in those books.
But it's more like you absorb the essence.
Yes.
When you eat it, like you taste it and everything, but you kind of don't chew. Something like that. Anyway, I'm just going with my hope that it's real.
Yeah, well, you like food, so that would be good. I don't know why God wouldn't create pleasures for us on earth that he wouldn't also have some type of similar pleasure in the spirit world. It just makes sense to me. Pure pleasures, that we have here on earth. I think that's pure. Michael?
I'm hoping sex, in the same breath, food and sex.
Sex, yes. Well.
So there's my cards.
Christian angels don't have sex, but I'm pretty sure that all the spirits that I've read about in the books do, from what I've seen. Okay, now we ready for the next one? Anybody else?
Yeah.
Okay. I had a desire as I moved among that concourse of people to assure myself as to whether anywhere or at any time from my first meeting with Helen to my arrival here, I had once felt conscious of being a stranger. So how does that make you feel? I know that when I was reading that, I was feeling like he's trying to convince himself that he belongs here. Why would he need to do that? Like why would he need to reflect on that I need to convince myself that I belong here? Like he's insecure.
I just want to point out real quick, you skipped a question, so we'll go back to that question after.
Skip the question?
Let's carry on with this, but then we'll go back to the other question. This is a good one.
Oh, we did. Oh, sorry. Yeah, we did. We completely did. Oh, sorry.
It's okay.
I'm doing this on my iPad and my finger went a little.
That's okay. We'll go back to it.
Okay. So I just felt that it's like he's talking about I had once felt at any moment I never felt like a stranger, and yet why is he addressing that? Why is he talking about reassuring himself that he isn't? Michaela?
The way that I take that paragraph is more that it's kind of almost dawned on him, and he's like, oh shit, wow, I haven't felt that for such a long time. And then he's looking back and realized the way that it's sort of life and that feeling present for him. That's kind of how I perceive that, but I'm not sure if that's right.
I'm not sure I quite heard all that. Kind of broke up a bit.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Is that better now?
Yeah. I just wanted to comment.
If you can
and
repeat.
really think of how what to say.
I sort of perceive that paragraph as more like he's had this moment of realization that he hasn't felt that for a really long time. And so he's looking back and recognizing that that feeling is not a part of his experience anymore, and it hasn't been for a long time. And I also wonder if there's kind of a link as well between the sleep state and the awake state. And one of the reasons why he never felt that feeling is because he was already familiar with the experience of being in the sleep state.
Of fitting in and belonging and all that. Because in his physical life, he didn't ever feel like he fit in or belonged or anything.
Yeah, and I think like that feeling is personal to him, because I'm sure other spirits don't have that, where they definitely feel like they don't fit in and they don't belong, so that's based on where he was at, that he had that, he didn't have those experiences.
Yeah. Anybody else? Michael?
Yeah, the high point of the last chapter was when Walu Mali said to him, "Welcome home," and he reflects and goes, "I've never, from the very start till now, I've never felt, like I didn't belong here." But now he's getting it, and he's going, "I don't feel like a stranger." So it's something happened, like the blessing, the benediction, something has changed, and it's dawning in him. So he feels it.
Yeah.
He's home.
Yeah.
And maybe his own home didn't feel welcome. And now he knows how home really feels.
Like what that actually feels like, because he has no history of it at all. So now he is that what that is? That I've been longing for? Is this it? Yeah, it kind of made me sad for some reason. When he's looking around, having that feeling, it just felt so sad, and I couldn't really feel why that felt so sad. But maybe that's what it feels like for a child that never felt like they had a home. Yeah.
And that somehow for God it matters, because I guess God is our parent, that we get to feel that feeling of being welcomed.
He wants you to feel that from him. I'm your parent, and this is your home, is with me.
And for Aphraar, because he didn't have a mother, usually that's what you'd hope a mother makes you feel, in the bonding between mother and baby. So he didn't have that.
At least something of it. Never be as much as that, but at least it's hard to recognize something that you haven't never had even a little bit of. Right? How do you recognize it?
And yet he acknowledges that he never felt like a stranger either, like what Michael said, throughout his experience after his passing. But then there is a different feeling between not being a stranger and
feeling at home.
Feeling at home.
Yeah, I think that's it. Yeah.
I had no point of reference to what you're talking about.
Yeah. And that just felt sad to me. Just felt really sad.
Michael raised his hand.
Oh, Michael.
Sorry. You know how they welcomed him so warmly, and how just one person's arrival was so important. It just occurs to me that those spirits are at one with God. Those are God's feelings.
Yeah. That's lovely. Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's wonderful. Thanks. That was a lovely thought. Lovely. Oh.
Okay.
Do we all need a moment?
I need a moment. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, that was so nice. Oh wow. Yeah.
That's a little too much.
Okay. Overwhelmed. Okay. Alicia?
Oh my God, that just changed the book to a whole other.
Yeah.
Oh, wow, Virginia, start this going with me now. Now it's like, okay, if you go back and read all 3 books from the perspective of everything the Spiritual Spirit saying is what God is saying, that changes the book.
Yeah.
Dang.
Like we're going to treat you the way we've learned from God how to make you feel like you belong.
Oh my goodness. Okay, that's
what I just, wow.
yeah. Okay.
Okay, Alicia?
Oh, I was just going to say thank you to Michael, because actually reading this chapter, I mean, I just bawled with that welcome home part. I bawled for a long time just with that. And another thing that always gets me is when I feel like I don't have a home, it always comes to me, God is my home. So I don't feel emotional at this minute, but I feel like Michael's like nailed it there. It's like, yeah, that's why. And also, of course, as some others have said, it's like he felt, and I can relate to this myself, you feel like a stranger in your own family. So it's not just about welcoming home, you're welcomed into the family of God. You're part of God's family as well, rather than feeling like you're nobody in existence in his own family.
Okay, do you want to do another question? Okay. Everybody good? Yeah. You two have now passed the one great crisis in your career. Just one more step and you'll stand upon the homeland. This is a necessary part of the welcome we rejoice to give you, Aphraar. The seeker is no longer applicable, for your quest has been rewarded. Now, as Astrael, a star of God, we bid you to enter into the rest that remaineth. And I like that he used the word necessary, like it's a necessary thing to give you this new name. So why? Why would that be necessary? In order to, I don't know. I don't really know, actually. That's why I asked the question, because I don't know why it's necessary. You said, I like my old name. Because he's not going to change his personality. Aphraar the Seeker is probably good. He's not going to stop doing that. So, and come on, Star of God. I'd be intimidated if I got that name. Okay, I'm going to live up to that name. Okay, nope, I don't want it. Any comments? Oh, Alicia?
Isn't it like an acknowledgement and a reward of his progress as his soul's expanded, possibly? Why?
Yeah.
But yes, I'm not sure about the necessary, but
yeah. Although maybe what you just include, like maybe, I even wondered, I was reading this about what kind of language are they using? Is it God's language? Like, where do they get these explanations? Like maybe they have so much more meaning that can actually be felt there that we can't even, to us, it's just a name.
Well, I'm thinking, I think in Hebrew that El is one of the names of God.
Okay.
El.
Oh, El. Okay.
Elohim.
So Astra makes sense.
Right.
Hebrew.
And maybe it's something also to do with his future passions and his future potentials of what he's going to be doing.
Like I feel like almost when they say somebody's name to another celestial, it's almost like they're speaking a language that other celestial understands.
Yeah.
Almost, and understands the significance of that name and who that person is to you. Like it's got like a whole expanded meaning to it.
So in the book, it's just saying the seeker and or what, I can't remember Astrael now offhand, but it's just saying that, but it actually is a whole gamut. It's like him just crossing the bridge. It's like a huge thing.
Yeah, that's kind of the feeling I'm getting. It's not just a name. Yeah. It's just so much more. And I think we're not celestials, so we can't feel the meaning of them.
Doesn't it say somewhere in the book that actually nobody has the same name? Everybody has a different name. Yeah. So you're right. I feel that it's unique and it shows that particular character and personality that is that person,
Mhm.
that part of
Mhm.
God.
Yeah, yeah, I think so. Virginia?
Michaela
Virginia.
was
Oh,
first.
Michaela? Oh,
Did she
Michaela.
unhand herself?
I don't
Michaela, are
know.
you?
I just was busy for a sec and I wasn't sure if I'd be done, but I'm done. For me, it kind of signifies the significance of the new birth and that he is becoming a completely new being, and so hence the new name. But then I was thinking about it with Michael, like Archangel Michael. He seems to have kept the same name. I don't know if that's maybe a big assumption, but so yeah, I'm not really sure how it works around that. But yeah,
Maybe he's the first Michael, so he gets to keep it. He's the original Michael, and that will be the end of one Michael. Nobody else gets it. I'm just kidding. I don't know. I'm just guessing.
Yeah. Okay, Virginia.
I agree with Michaela. I thought it was to signify the new birth, or do you get renamed depending on what sphere you're in and your soul expansion? So when you're in like the 20th sphere, that you're going to get another name? Because I do believe that Jesus is recognized by different names as well in the spirit world, even though maybe not here to earth, to humans, but so I don't know, is it just the one time that you get a name change when you are reborn? Or is it more times than that? I'm not sure. Okay.
No idea. I have no idea. I didn't really know Jesus had, I thought people called him by different names, but I didn't know that. And who would give him the name? The top of, like, does he give it to himself? Like,
Maybe after somebody came along and said, got instruction from God, you got a new name. I don't know.
Michael?
Yeah, I was thinking along your lines. I didn't think he had another name, like out of a sign of respect, but he could, what do we know? But in the Bible, isn't he referred to as the bright and morning star?
Oh.
So there could be these additional taglines that get attached to your name.
Yeah.
Well,
I was
something to look
thinking,
forward to finding out.
sorry.
No.
I was thinking about if you think about Aphraar's role that he's played for all of us here, he's a guiding light. It's like how a star is for people on the planet. We look at a star and it's our guiding light. It's something we aim for. It's something we use for directions. It's something that inspires us in the darkness. And it's like, well, that's basically what Aphraar's work has been for all of us. So I feel like the name makes sense that he has ended up becoming a guiding star for, a lot of
guiding
people.
Star. Yeah. I guess a guiding star. I think you were a star, like, movie star, like God star, I don't know.
Oh, we don't go out and look at the sky anymore.
Yeah, like you're my star. You get a gold star. You go. From God. Okay. So yeah, but guiding star, yeah, that's kind of a nicer kind of connotation or different. Yeah.
But then the word necessary does have some significance. I'm glad you caught that. And it's like, why is it necessary?
Yeah.
I mean, we obviously can't figure out why, but it's good to even pick at the notion of it. Like
the people you're going to be spending time with now are going to need to know this name. It's almost like it tells them something about you that's important that they will need to know, and your old name isn't going to cut it anymore.
Yeah. And that's something about, maybe it's about a uniqueness, or maybe it's about an aspect of your nature that you chose to develop, so that became.
Yeah. But if they can feel all these other things, like about your clothing, like all of those things, I think there's just in terms of the knowledge that you've accumulated, you feel the name and you know more about the person from their name than if they don't even need to tell you. Like, that's the feeling I'm getting about that.
Well, but if you think about family, if you think about what happens in the significance of, like, if you ever think of babies, say, abandoned, what bugs you is that the kid doesn't even have a name. Like, there's something about the naming of a child that is the including of the acknowledgement that this is an individual and that this person is part of our clan. So the naming ceremony has always been a big deal in a lot of cultures. So there is something to the power of name.
Yeah. Michaela, you had your hand up. It doesn't, I think, Michaela?
Yeah, I was just going to say, like what Miller said about the uniqueness of the person and the fact that that person is now in harmony with God's perspective of them, that they are actually at a point now where they are expressing that uniqueness in a way that they never have done.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. And somehow they all know by the name that you are that. Yeah.
You're gonna have cool names, Selina. Yours would be very cool. Like, your name would be very cool, Selina.
Oh, sure. I like the name I have. Thank you. Okay.
God will have to find a name that sounds so fantastic. You'll be like, oh yeah, no, I'll give up Selina. No worries.
Oh, okay, fine. Okay.
God's up to the challenge. She'll do it.
I don't know if we need to. Should we do this next one?
Question.
Whether we think that he's got such a nice name because he's special, because I really thought it was pretty. Oh man. So
Selina is on a rant right now.
yeah, I'm on a rant. I thought, boy, I'd be pretty intimidated by that name if I was him.
Wait, have you done question 5? No.
No. So let's do that one. Yeah. Okay. Then my mind wandered back into the old life, and I saw myself stealing away from the family circle, that I might be alone in my longing for something I did not understand, a vague something I could not touch. One step and you will stand upon the homeland, but the words had no particular significance to me as I heard them, since I had never known what the blissful sacredness of the home life was. What do you think he's longing for? Person, a place, the feeling, God. How does it feel to have a longing that you don't understand? Just even knowing that he has a longing. Isn't that just so interesting to me? It's like this feeling, this vague discomfort he has, and he can't put his finger on it. Yeah. Any comments on that? Questions? Answers?
Judith?
Well, maybe it's his other half. No.
Ooh.
Yeah. Person. Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah. Yeah. And why wouldn't you have a longing for your soulmate?
Yeah.
Even if you hadn't really, because it's never really come up, has it, in any of the books up till now? No. But I think it does. I think it does eventually, doesn't it? Come up a little bit.
It was mentioned briefly once, right?
Yeah. Not.
I think it's mentioned in the recordings with Aphraar that Jesus and Mary are asking.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, it was in a chapter when my Walu Mali was introduced himself to Aphraar.
Yeah,
you know,
then he tried to kill himself over his girlfriend. But did they actually call her his soulmate?
that's coming up.
Yeah, I think it does. I haven't read the next chapters yet, but yeah, I agree, Judith. That's very much could be this vague feeling of missing something. Yeah, Alicia,
Oh, you're mute.
unmute.
Just feels like a feeling of being, the longing is a feeling of home. Finally, I'm home and I'm embraced by my true mother and father. I don't know. I just feel this like Oh, I'm
I'm home. Even though he says he didn't, when he said it, when he said it to him, it was like, huh, I didn't feel that at all. Like you're entering the homeland. I didn't feel that at all. That's what he says. I didn't feel that. And that made him uncomfortable because he knew he should feel something when he was told. And he said, no. But the words had no particular significance to me as I heard them. But yet it made him uncomfortable at the same time. Yeah, interesting, eh?
But could that not be because, well, although he's let go of the earth life, but
yeah,
could there still be something there that's in his memory of what he didn't have that in his own home, and he didn't have his mother, and he didn't have that from his father?
yeah, it's just like this icky
feeling.
Yeah. Yeah. Michael?
I think he's becoming aware of a soul's desire that will pull him into the next sphere. It's pulling him.
Yeah, pulling him. Like he's just got this feeling that he's never felt before, kind of a feeling.
Maybe it's been there.
Yeah.
You know, maybe it hasn't been nurtured,
Longing.
but he's in the sixth sphere now, right?
Yeah.
And
And he needs to get to
something's
eight.
waking in him.
Yeah.
Good one.
I think it's neat just that, the words, like he's being guided and being told those words on purpose to stimulate these feelings,
Yeah.
Like everything's done deliberately. Like that wasn't just a welcome. It was you need to feel this, whatever that is. Yeah. Kayla, did you have your hand up? Okay. Yeah.
I feel pretty numb with this question. I'm numb.
Yeah.
Speaking about home, speaking about, which obviously means he's gonna have to start with a tantrum
Yeah.
to even figure out what that's about.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel pretty, like I can feel it in my chest. It's just like a metal plate in here right now.
Oh yeah.
And I can feel I'm angry
Yeah.
that,
I agree about
don't
that.
even make me
Yeah.
talk about this topic. So just good.
Yeah. I think of cookies and babies.
Okay.
And that feels nice. Okay.
Virginia?
Number 6. Oh,
Oh,
Virginia.
Virginia?
Did you have your hand up?
Yeah.
She did? Okay.
Yep.
Sorry.
It does make me sad, or maybe there's a little grief there about really longing for a place where I feel like full acceptance and unconditional love. And I just haven't experienced that here on earth. So when someone starts talking about something like this, I how can you not help to have a longing for it? But I think we all want that deep down in our souls. We want this.
Yeah.
So to me, that's what home is going to be. That to have that. But I don't know if he still has any. It's possible to carry some of that sadness and grief to where he's at now. I don't know.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay, question 6. The veil had been lifted at last. As Mayonine spoke those words, I had felt the mystic thrill there in his brother's, a sister's hand. My ears had been opened to respond to the music of the word home. My soul had expanded wide enough to embrace and appropriate something of what God has wrapped up for mankind in that resonant monotone. I don't really know what that means. Home. So how are Aphraar's ears open? How does it feel to have your soul expand? You think? Can anybody even imagine what that would feel like? Alicia?
I had an image when I read that of, for example, some animals, they have a much broader spectrum of what they can hear compared to what I can hear. Or someone who's a musician and they've attuned their ears to be able to hear more sounds than somebody else. Or if you are using a microphone that's super sensitive, sounds that you don't normally notice, you suddenly are like hearing everything around you. So I feel like that it's a part of that expansion of your being, you're more finely attuned, your senses are more exquisite, or that's not the right word, but maybe you know what I mean. They're just much more finely tuned and much more expanded in what they can hear and feel, etc.
Yeah, makes sense. Which should happen when you come at one with God, like you develop more senses. That's what we've been taught anyway. So maybe that's what he's talking about here. Suddenly, it's just opened for me, this thing, this feeling. Yeah. Michaela?
Yeah, I get the sense of, I just have this imagery of his whole essence is now full of God's love flowing. So everything is different and everything is expanded. Yeah, so like you said just then, like just this extra senses and just a whole new perspective on what it is to feel unconditionally loved and accepted, and there's no fight anymore. There's just safety and connection to God. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what I feel too. This is more about feeling God's love than anything. This whole, like when he leaves everyone, I just wanted to hear what everybody else thought first. Michael?
Because he's kind of mixing metaphors, but I don't think he is. This is a wild guess, but it could be true. So like maybe a word has colors with it, and maybe a word has deeper soul meanings, and maybe it has a scent, and maybe it has other sounds. Because he'll be able to look at people's dresses and see the subtleties and understand what it means. And so maybe we experience things one-dimensionally when it comes to our senses. Well, a piece of cake, you can smell it and taste it and see it, but so maybe he's got multiple sensory things going on at one time. I think that's what you were thinking, Michaela.
Mm-hmm.
But wow.
Yeah, for me, what I saw here was he's received a big dose of God's love and it changed him. He is becoming at one with God. Like he hears different, he feels different. He can feel his soul got bigger, actually feel it. And I think that's what happened, that he received God's love. And now he feels like he's home. Yeah.
That's the thing, that somehow mine and or somebody has changed his frequency so that he's responding to the word home. Like somehow his antenna has been tuned in to respond strongly and differently and musically to the word home. So like you guys were saying earlier, that the call has only gotten stronger to keep pulling him towards 8. And somehow it's the word home, that's the homing beacon. The word and the concept and the feeling and the idea of home.
So yeah, maybe that's what he's, sorry. Yeah.
No, I'm just kind of having a feeling of home being important from God's perspective.
Yes, me too. Like when before, home is just a resonant monotone. So I'm kind of saying it's just sort of just a word. And now it's got this whole big expanded meaning. Like I can feel it in my body. I can hear it. Wow. It's like, that's what I got from that. Like something happened.
I can't feel anything.
No.
Mary said, if you're numb, it means you're angry. So here we go.
So yeah, I think these are feelings that Kenny, it's just so hard to relate to. Yeah, exactly. Okay. So how does everybody feel about home? What does home mean? How do you feel about home? Maybe got some thoughts on that? Michaela?
Am I good?
Yep.
On? I feel like home is something that I'm always striving for. And there's this wound in me that seems to think that everyone else has got the home, but I don't. And I remember walking along the streets as I was younger and always looking into people's homes and thinking, I bet it's way better in there.
Oh, yeah.
And this sense of darkness and just something to always strive for. But I do, particularly in reading this chapter, I do get this fleeting glimpse of this potential, and it's pulling me on for sure. Like this word home, and getting a sense of Aphraar's idea about it is certainly inspiring me more and more towards it.
Yeah, it's nice. Like that brought to mind a story I read just recently about Thomas Kincaid. He's the painter of light. So all of his homes all are full of light. And somebody asked him about that once, why are they full of light? And he said, well, he was a latchkey kid. And he'd go home and he'd walk home and all the other homes had lights in them and people, and he'd go home to an empty, dark house every day because his mom worked, a single mom or something, 2 jobs. And to him, that represented a home that he didn't have, just lights, so that's why he painted that way. Yeah, that was his feeling of home. Anybody else want to share? It's pretty sensitive, isn't it? That topic, yeah. Alicia?
Yeah, I have, as I'm sure many do, an injury around home for sure. But I was also thinking about, have we actually already begun creating a home in the spirit world? And has anybody visited their spirit home? Has anybody?
A little bit, yeah. I've had a couple of visions, yeah, pretty strong ones.
I've been thinking about that this week, but I haven't been consciously going there. Let's say I haven't got the conscious awareness of it.
That's interesting. Yeah, I had this when I was working with the influence my first husband, he passed young, that was still having on my life. Like he was influencing me a lot and quite hanging around me a lot. And I really just had a vision. I feel like I went to talk to him in a place that was my place. Like I remember even like coming into the door, I couldn't really see it all, coming to the door and leaving my stuff at the table, like it's my place, and he's sitting there waiting for me so we could talk about things and actually talk about our daughter and the damage we did to her. And it felt like my place. Yeah.
And so the home that we've created already in the spirit world, if we get more of an idea of what that's like, will give us more of an idea of our true and honest soul condition now too. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, anything else? Okay. We kind of covered some of these questions, actually. Longing for the homeland, like longing, that feeling of longing. Does anybody else have anything to add to that? The longing? No? Are we okay to go on to chapter number 7? Yeah. Okay. Far from that, but I would like to ask if we were not now beyond the limit of his favorite declaration that it is better on before. I didn't really understand this. I had to read it quite a few times what that meant. Languaging is odd. No, my brother, because there are no limits to that declaration. It is one of the infinities. How do you interpret the word infinities in this context? And what do you think? Is this one of God's laws? Do you like that concept of and is it different, like infinities, it just has a whole different feeling to it than this is a law? I just wonder if anybody else had any comments on that. I found that the languaging of it really interesting, and I just wonder if anybody else had some feelings on it. Alicia?
So if God's infinite, aren't we, and God's infinitely growing, aren't we constantly growing towards that? So, and I feel like when you mentioned about the law, this sort of relates to me with the law of the principle of scope.
The principle
of scope that Jesus talks about how.
Oh, right, scope. Yeah. Mike, yeah. Michael?
What strikes me about this sentence when he says it is one of the infinities makes me think that the spirits, when they think about God and feel about God, they recognize, oh, that's an infinite quality or aspect of God. Oh, that's an infinite quality of God. Oh, that's another way that God is infinite. There's a group or a number or some knowledge of all the ways that God is infinite.
Yeah.
I've never sat around a table discussing the infinities of God before, but maybe they do.
Yeah, that's why I was confused by it. I didn't know if it was a law, like if that was another word for talking about laws, that are permanent and infinite in their, like they're always the same. I guess maybe he expands them and makes more. I don't know. Anyway, Michaela?
I took it to mean that, and I can't quite remember this section when he speaks of it with Walu Mali, but that once you're making the choice to choose God and that is your path forward, every time you're making that choice, your experience is better than before. And because God is infinite, you will never stop improving on the past moment if you're choosing God.
Yeah, because I think he's basically asking her, this can't get better than this. How could it get better than this? And yet it does. It's one of the infinities. It just does keep getting better than this. More, bigger.
So the energy has dipped a bit here because I think we stumbled across the block of home and we're stuck.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
I felt that too. Yeah.
I feel like there's a concept of this beautiful home that Aphraar has arrived at, and there's this promise that God has, the intention and desire to welcome us home, where we really, really feel home. But then we also have this feeling, like what Alicia brought up, where we're going, so what's our home like right now based on our soul condition? Like, oh. And so that's kind of awakens some injuries that we should be processing. But there's a gap between what we think our home is now and our, I would guess, lack of faith that there is this other home that we're going to evolve into. So it's like this feeling inside of us going, well, shucks, this is my home now with my current soul condition, and I guess I'm done for. I mean, is that what it feels like, or what is it? There's this sort of injury we have about the home that we, I see now why I've connected to the causal. It's connected to the books. Okay, so we have the original injury around home from conception and birth. And then we have the injury around what our home must look like now in our current soul condition. And then there is this possibility with Aphraar being the star guiding us to the home and what that's going to feel like forever. But somehow all of this have jacked up some emotions in us, and I want to try and find a way to get us connecting to it, because we're stuck here now.
Yeah, I agree.
What's coming up for folks? Why are you feeling down? Michaela?
I just noticed when I was speaking before that there was kind of this moment of awareness of, you know, I'm always striving for something else rather than staying in what is and engaging with it, but letting the faith of I can get through this and this is going to get better. So for me, I'm always in the fantasy of what's going to be rather than staying in the what it is.
Okay. And what must bring up some kind of a judgment about yourself right now that's really unpleasant. And so it must make you want to leave that. I mean, there has to be some kind of judgment we have about our current home that make us want to leave.
I find lately when I let myself sit, there's this deep discomfort. It's almost like just wanting to rip out of myself rather than stay with myself. So it's that fear of me and also fear of emotion.
Okay, and I'm gonna circle back around to the judgment you have about it. And therefore this month means I am now, if this is what my home looks like, which must mean this is what my soul condition is, then that must mean fill in the blank. It's that meaning we've given it that is causing us pain. You know, if you say, then that must mean for now, temporarily, this is my starting point. That would be a different perspective than the meaning we're giving it to it now. Some judgments.
Yeah, okay, I see what you're saying. And I'll sit with that, like the sense of failure, I guess.
Yeah, there it is. Yeah. Ouch. I can feel that. Okay. Okay. Yeah. And hopefully we're able to feel God's feelings about it. As we feel the feeling and then ask for God's truth about it, hopefully we can get corrected from, like, are we correct in feeling the sense of failure, or what is God's perspective where we're at right now? Yeah, thank you. Virginia.
I do feel that I have faith in things getting better, life always getting better. Okay. And if I keep going, it is what keeps me going, is feeling that there is always better. Okay. Talking about home in this way for me does bring up a lot of sadness, because it seems like a place where there will be nurturing and love, unconditional love and acceptance, where you can just be yourself. Mm-hmm. And I just don't feel that I have that here. I don't have good feelings about that. I didn't provide that completely for my children either. And that I really want this, but I feel like I can't have it. Yet I think that things are going to get better, but somehow I feel like I can't have it here. I don't know if that.
I think you named the feeling you're looking for, and the feeling we need to give to ourselves in order to shift is unconditional acceptance. Mm-hmm. We have to give ourselves that. That's probably the antidote to judgments. Yeah, and maybe then we can receive it, because we probably are receiving that from our guides and from God, but we're not giving it to ourselves, and we're not going to let anybody else give it to us either. Maybe that's the big part about the shift, at this point, to not be in denial about our soul condition, to see it fully as it is, and then to unconditionally accept and love it as it is. I think when you get step 3, now you're going to start moving. Now the evolution can happen. I have a feeling part 3 is necessary. Mm-hmm. So yeah, the unconditional acceptance is like, well, how can we, I guess it starts with me. Thank you.
So does this home then start in our hearts here?
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah. Yeah,
I
that,
like that.
yeah.
And is that why, therefore, all the celestial spirits are able to give that to others? Is that why when everybody met Aphraar, when he was at the top of his sphere, you know, they unconditionally accepted him, and somehow in that unconditional acceptance, there's room for progression. Maybe it's that important. Like, yeah. Can't remember who was first,
Alicia.
but I'm gonna go with, sorry?
It was
Alicia?
Alicia.
Okay.
Yeah, next.
Yeah, I feel that that's a very strong connection between our physical home, whether it's physical on earth or physical in the spirit world, and our condition. I had a simple experience recently where I have not been feeling at home where I am in the physical sense. I haven't been feeling at home within myself either. I haven't been accepting, appreciating, etc. So I went and I stayed 3 weeks with someone else, and there I really felt out of place and not being able to be myself. And then I came back and I was like, wow, I so felt accepting of where I am and appreciating where I am and what I have. I was like, oh my gosh, I hadn't even felt, it wasn't about seeing things, it was about how I feel very different in coming back here again.
Yeah, like you put conditions on it.
Yeah.
And you must remove some of those conditions, and it felt more like home.
Yes, exactly. Yes, so I can really relate to that it's partly to do with self-acceptance, unconditional acceptance, as you said, Neela. Yeah, thank you.
Wow.
We could use a workshop in that.
Yeah, couldn't we? Yeah. Judith?
Yeah, I don't, I mean, I have a very nice home, but it's not a happy place for me. I feel like because I'm alone. And so it's like, so I feel quite sad. And then I start to compare myself, like even during this conversation, listening to everyone comment, I'm comparing myself saying, well, they're really getting information out of the material that I'm not getting. I can't participate or say anything. So then I start to judge myself. And I started to realize that there's nothing wrong with comparing yourself to other people. But when you judge yourself for the differences, that's the problem. But so I guess that's why I was getting kind of quiet. But I do like what Michaela said, because she was talking about always looking out for something better as if that's bad. But I think that's a form of having faith that you can improve. And I don't feel myself having a lot of faith. And I think that's my problem. So lately I've been trying to pray for faith. But, I pretty much feel like I'm kind of in a rut, frankly, when it comes to the home. Like physically, it can be as beautiful as you can make it. But if your heart is kind of not in it, it's not a happy place. So.
It seems to sound as if you are referring to some kind of soulmate pain.
Well,
what is the other?
It could be, because that's been coming up a lot for me. I mean, just with people I'm meeting and stuff and interactions I'm having with the community I'm involved in. Yeah, that actually, it makes sense. So.
And also, speaking about understanding material, my motivation for the book group was that I didn't understand the material.
Yeah.
That is why the book group is happening. So, yeah. Okay, thank you.
Michael, yeah.
Several strands came together as you were discussing with this. One is that the idea of home, and for Aphraar, the culmination of the first book is he's home. He finds his home. So now he's welcomed home, and not only is it his home, but it's a homeland. Everywhere he goes in this land, he is home. And And it can explain why the spirits know when somebody enters a sphere, because they are aware of everything that is happening. It's their home. And maybe,
Yeah. Mm.
and it suggests to me that this acceptance, you mentioned, somebody mentioned that this unconditional love and home, welcome home, is always coming to him from God and the other spirits, and he's finally releasing whatever blocks he's had. He's growing to the point where he can feel it himself. And I'm thinking, and you called it unconditional acceptance, Mila. Maybe that's what brought him to the bridge and is letting him pass it. He's finally feeling unconditional love and acceptance for himself.
For himself.
And he can feel these feelings of home that have been just flooded. He's been immersed in home without realizing it. And now he's letting it in. Because it's a quality of that sphere, of that universe.
Yeah, I like what you said about just being in the homeland. Like it's not a specific house or the dwelling that you happen to be in that reflects your character, your personality. It's more like everything that happens. So like you say, people come in and they can feel it. Like it's almost like the vibration changes or something, or they feel it, like things, senses that we don't even have, you know, an earthquake or something happens. Quality changes of the air or the light or something. And you know somebody else has entered into your home, your space, your sphere, your field of energy, your something, things we can't really understand. But that's what it feels like you're all putting out this cloud of energy that feels every little ripple of change. And that's home. That feels like home. Like, wow. Like you are in it and own it in a way that you've never been in or owned anything ever. Like it's yours, you created it. That's weird.
Yeah, and you get to feel all that because it's been offered and given by God.
Yeah.
So I have no idea what that must be like.
Yeah, me neither.
And I can see the beginning of a long list of injuries that I'm going to have to work through. But if unconditional acceptance of myself could be a good platform to start, you know, that is something I can give to myself.
Do you remember hearing Jesus describe how huge their home was and how much they needed that home because that's how large their souls are? So that's just suddenly got this vision. So imagine anything coming into that space like this, bigger and bigger and bigger, like how sensitive you'd be to more things all the time coming into that space, every thought, every feeling, every individual, you'd feel it all the time.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Wow. Yeah.
Michaela?
Just talking about acceptance of self, I recently listened to the 2016, like the second group, the lessons about becoming your loving self, or I can't quite remember. But I found that was such a powerful ones to listen to because he really talks about the creation of our pain and then goes on to accepting the facade. And I feel that my ability to have compassion for myself and others has grown since re-listening to that, just recognizing that we're not bad, and the reason why we're out of alignment is because something happened to us, and it's through going through that recognition that you become more accepting. And he talks about, I think this is what I heard, but that accepting the facade is kind of in alignment with awakening to the sin. So it's such a crucial step to be able to unravel anything, really.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. You should get drawn to the right talk at the right time.
Yeah.
And the same lecture you've heard 20 times before, suddenly you have a whole other conversation. You're like, I was there. I don't remember hearing that. So yeah. Okay. And Michael, you raised your hand.
Just an odd memory. I thought somebody said Jesus's home. I mean, at that time, his home in the spirit world was like 5 kilometers big.
Mhm.
Wow.
Yeah,
You know,
that's
Okay.
right.
so
What do you remember? Maybe it was in Texas. We talked. Yeah. Thought that
Huh.
maybe.
Okay. So how you guys feeling now?
Yeah, that was
You
better.
okay?
That was good. That's
Yeah.
better. Because
Okay.
that was just like this
Good.
heavy feeling. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sadness.
Our
yeah.
sadness got triggered and then we didn't move forward with it. So
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
yeah. And but I think through our conversation, we're kind of touching the unconditional acceptance. Seems to be like it's something we have, something that we have to choose. It's something we can do something about. And maybe that's what our guides are trying to kind of get us to embrace. Like that place would be a place that would help us tremendously. But yeah, I can feel that we somehow some kind of faith got infused into us or something. Some love, some truth got infused into us. Yep. Michael? Oh, you mute.
thank you. I want to add something to what you just said. In the prayer lecture, Jesus says that prayer opens up the receptivity of our soul. And I had the impression it's not just for love, but it's for other gifts as well. So prayer opens up the channels for us to receive gifts. And I just lost it where I was going, but I was going to piggyback on you that we're getting some gifts by, you talked about faith, and because we have some faith, God is giving us some gifts right now. There was a sharper insight, but that was it.
Thank you.
That was part of it.
Thank you. There's something going on. I almost feel like something tingling going on in our circle right now. Something is, something is interesting is happening. Yeah, but it starts by naming what is, naming exactly where you're at, naming the pain. Back to the power of names. Okay. I feel like this is a good place to kind of stop. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good conversation. It's like, yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Selina.
Oh, thanks, Judith.